Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Silent breed is people!
One morning, I shot an elephant in my pajamas. How he got in my pajamas, I don't know.
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
E.T. Phone home.
It is the Al Travis Show, and it's nothing about great guests like our next one. And I mean that in all sincerity. We've had her on quite a little bit. I love having her on. If what she says doesn't hit home this week, it never will. We can just give up. Shannon, thank you for being here. Shannon Watts, majority in the middle. We've been talking for a long time about the fact there's power in the middle. The crazies on either side should not be running the gym here. Let me ask you this. How early on, when did you, because you know all the humans at the Capitol, you know them all. Yeah. These are your friends. How early on did you find out that something was amiss on late Friday night, Saturday morning?
I get up really early. Okay. And so I actually, God, this makes the story about me. I don't want to make the story about me, but
I'm asking you because we're going to go through this. We're going to bust it down.
Right. I saw some of the the woman with the scanner, the Minneapolis crime.
Crime Watch Minnesota. By the way, and we can do this quick. I'm not a big fan of a lot of X and all these other things.
Yeah.
But it gives the ability for someone like the scanner lady, you call it, Crime Watch Minnesota or whatever. I think that's what its actual name is. And follow it. I'm following it now. I never did before. Did not. I never followed it. I'm following it now because in reality, pretty good at it. She said, hey, something's going on here. Yeah. I think it's at this guy's house. I'll let you know more as it comes. And literally you got that before the real news could get it verified by 3 people or whatever their rules are. Right. Many people knew what was going on.
So I saw that when I got up at about 4:20 or 5:20 on Saturday. And then immediately started looking for the journalists.
Yeah.
The credentialed, editorially controlled code of ethics. Yeah. The journalists.
Yeah.
And I wasn't finding anything, so I started texting my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And again, not about me, but I found out later in the day, like I was the first person to text the Strib political team, like, hey, do you guys have any eyes on this at all? Do you know what it is? Like, I don't want to share it. I don't want to, whatever. And then started hearing more and more and connecting with some legislators. And so, so I got some news before it.
6:30. Oh no, it's 6:30-ish or so, 6:20, whatever it was on a Saturday. I see that thing on the Crime Watch Minnesota.
Yeah.
My first reaction is with the people on the show regularly. I call them my friends. I mean, I enjoy them.
Absolutely.
So I text almost all my list and said, "Are you okay?" And by 6:30, I suppose it was, I was getting back that either they had been called by the police and said, "Are you okay?" and here's what's going on, or there was actually a police officer in their driveway. And it was like, oh, thank goodness. I'm glad you're safe. Any other news? And all of us were sitting around then at that time waiting for the 9s or the 5s or the Fox. Somebody, one of those credentials to come up and say, this is verifiably what's going on.
Yeah.
That took them a long time. So again, I'm not thrilled with technology, but that scanner lady, if that's what we're going to call her, I kind of like that if that's what it was on top of, because I'm looking at my wife because I woke her up and said, hey, something's, and I said, how is it we're needing proof? Don't they have scanners anymore? Can you not do police scanners?
Well, yes. And so here's the thing. Sometimes, and I have sort of a unique perspective on this because my dad was in law enforcement. He did 38 years in the police department, and my mom was a journalist. And so right. So I've got a little bit of a perspective on how these things happen. And sometimes it's not necessarily about, you have the confirmation, you have the sources, like this is going on. Sometimes sometimes journalists delay putting out information because of what is happening at that time. Sometimes they don't say it publicly because they don't want the perpetrator to know that people are onto them, or the families haven't been notified yet, or some of those things. So beyond just the making sure that everything was right, I do think there might have been a little bit of delay just
to make sure. We got to throw some kudos. I've been doing all day. The cop from Brooklyn Park, as I understand it, who came to help in Champlin because somebody's getting shot. They hear shots fired. I mean, if you believe Mrs. Hoffman, no reason not. She shot 8 times. John was 9. That's 17 shots. If you look at the picture of the door, there's 10 more. This woke the neighborhood up, and somebody called the cops. By the way, thank you for doing that. Here's something, call. But anyway, as I understand it, the Brooklyn Park cop comes to help, finds out it's Senator Hoffman and his wife, and his bat signal goes off, calls back Brooklyn Park, said, hey, get the Hortman's place. That's smooth operate. I'm glad you say your dad's a cop. I have my uncle is a cop. Some got it and some don't. And I say this, now we're finding out days later that he actually went to 2 other homes before getting there. Because you think about it, there's like an hour left. Like, what are you doing, hanging around? He stopped at 2 other places, but by the grace of God, one not there. And then the rest person, Senator Rest, she says outside her home is where the suspect was stopped.
Yeah.
And a police cruiser who, of course, everybody's activated by this, right? There's stuff going on. They're all running around. Literally saw this guy, tried to talk to the guy, but he was ignoring her, so she moved on. I don't know if it's she. Some have the spidey sense, some don't. This could, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not blaming that person at all.
Right.
But that first cop getting everybody activated and doing this, that's when all the other senators got called and all the other House guys and said, block yourself in. The cops did a fantastic job. Now we're going to talk about finding him 2 days later. That's amazing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. And that was one of the things that was so really like it made me like not happy, but like my friends are all being protected by law enforcement. It sucks that has to be the situation, and the fact that everybody and of course, our law enforcement communities do this all the time.
All the time. Yeah.
Nobody is better in a crisis, and just the acknowledgement and the they all just did so well working together and keeping people safe. And
I said this to Megan in the last hour. The other thing is the technology, and I hate my iPhone, so I'm not a technology guy. But the idea they had a drone in whatever car to go into the Hortman's home so to make sure it was clear, if you will, before they go in and get shot. Every cop car got a drone. I had no idea. Then the drone technology in Green Isle to find them in the field. It's a whole different cop situation than it was before. Now, that all being said, a little more than ashamed at how some people reacted to what was going on. Can we talk about on the other side? I don't think I looked at my wife, and I know early Saturday, late Saturday, and I said, how long until this is, he's a lefty, or, he's a righty? How long does this literally have to take?
Yeah.
It was Saturday afternoon. I guarantee you I saw the first thing saying, he had the No Kings posters in his car. Now we know. So now, somehow that's right. Now we got him figured out. Then, of course, somebody says, well, I heard he signed up as a Republican in the thing. And I'm like, well, you don't sign up in Minnesota. But my point is,
right,
between you and I, Shannon, what God's green difference does it make? The guy sprung a leak. This guy wasn't there. You're not old enough. The guy who shot Reagan, Jodie Foster in a dream talked to him or some crap, said, do this.
Yes.
Okay, he's a flipping loon. Okay, the guy sprung a leak. When we just not care that he was left or right, I don't even remember. I don't remember the guy's name.
Yeah.
But he did it because Jodie Foster in a dream talked to him. That's what knuckleheads do. That's what crazy people do. Yeah. Does it matter at all? I'm asking, I'm looking at you, you're looking at me.
Doesn't.
If we find out he's a card-carrying right-wing, what does that change? I don't know.
It changes nothing.
Thank you.
And the challenge of that painting everybody else with a broad brush, whether that is political affiliation or community or what school he went to or religion or whatever. Like those things don't matter.
But it seems to, this is where majority in the middle, and we've been talking about it, and I love this organization. This is where a great idea hits the rock in the middle of the forehead, because there is just an instinctual thing that some people have. I must explain this, and it must have to do with ideology. I mean, it can't be the guy went nuts. It has to be, well, he's a right-wing nut or he's a left-wing nut. You're running up against this instinctual need for an answer. And some people needed that answer within 12 hours. We hadn't even found the guy yet. Some people have to have that. We're going to go to break. We'll talk about some stuff that happened in the majority in the middle. We'll talk about it right after this on the Al Travis Show.
All the special interests are represented in St. Paul. But who speaks for you? Center of the American Experiment does. Our policy fellows dig into the tough issues that matter to you and offer common sense solutions on education, taxes, crime, and energy. American Experiment is the trusted, nonpartisan voice of Minnesotans like you. We are working every day to make Minnesota a better, safer, more prosperous place. We are American Experiment. Go to americanexperiment.org to learn more.
If it's your turn to host a game, Grandpa's Barbecue suggests you try something different. Put out the perfect barbecue flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. Add it to your ribs, dip the meatballs, or drench your wings in the original flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. It isn't too hot or spicy, fruity or smoky or whatever. Grandpa's Barbecue. Available in select stores and online at grandpasbarbecueshop.com.
Amongst friends, the Al Travis Show. Nothing but talk.
We've got our Shannon Watson with majority in the middle. We talked about the Jodie Foster thing. Crazy is going to be crazy. Do you think? And you're younger than me. I get the feeling it's the ability that everyone gets to have an opinion and it matters. This online stuff is. Yeah. Why there's more of this now. I think the number of crazies I don't think are changing in the world. And I see you looking at me hating and calling them crazy.
For giving everybody a microphone, you know?
I see you when I call him crazy. You give this look like I shouldn't call him crazy. You shoot people, you're crazy. I'm just throwing it out there. You're crazy, Will. So I throw it out there for that reason. But is it? Can we blame the society? Your whole organization it's that the middle. We have more power. Don't let the sides that are.
Yeah.
And both do this. I'm saying called him a neo-Nazi or called him Gestapo. That stuff. It's freedom of speech. Go ahead. But it has consequences, right? I mean, when in today's society with the megaphone like it is, where are you at on this? What is the blame? Is there blame in society? You have to figure out how to handle what we've got for tools now.
Yeah, well, there is blame and there's also explanation. I mean, human beings are genetically coded to form in groups and out groups. We sort. Yeah. We find people who are like us, and that becomes our in group, and we just do that as part of being human beings. It goes back in our evolution, and that's the oldest, most ancient part of our brain. We do that. So it's sort of a natural thing to do in political circles, in political what's the word I'm looking for? Like in the political industry, people are incentivized for doing that. They're rewarded for sort of taking up the time. I mean, Governor Walz was on NPR yesterday, and he was talking about rhetoric and how we all need to bring the tone down, and he's wrestling with that himself because he recommended that Democrats get meaner.
Yeah, I mean, literally a week ago, the dichotomy is that, yes, and I'm not just ripping him. This goes on both sides. So, that is a great point. And then you bring the profiting from it, the two sides.
Yeah.
This literally was a text that I got, an email I got with a link, and I don't remember the writer, but they're writing about the fact that the right wing is using this already to make tons of money off the X thing, and they brought two right-wing influencers. I don't even use these words. 1 million people follow. I didn't know the name of either one of these knotheads. You know how you stop that from working? Don't share it.
Starve it.
Let it. Yes. If they write this crap and it isn't shared, then X or whoever, I don't know how they make their money. I don't even get enough likers. I don't know how it works. Somehow they're getting checks. Stop the checks. Don't send it. Say, well, that's an idiot, and delete. Absolutely. Am I missing something?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing is the attention economy. And I don't like the term influencer either.
But it might have influenced this knothead, so maybe the word is right. But for regular humans, it's
maybe.
Well, I'm just meaning the idea of being popular. Right. I mean, we don't know this guy's motive. Maybe you want to go down as the greatest serial killer. I don't know what his motive. I don't have any idea. But what kills me is I don't care. Lunatic down now. We got him. He's off the streets. Should we find out, is he with 6 other people texting the same crap back and forth? Like you said, people go together.
Yeah.
I wonder if in today's society he doesn't have similar thinking friends. I mean, I don't know. Pedophiles hang together. They must. I don't know. I have any idea.
Yeah, and there's a different all of these things are sort of on a scale. Like you can think the same thing about ideology or religion or public policy or whatever, but you don't necessarily go that far. But you're totally right. And actually, one of the things that I've been thinking. Like my interactions, like I refuse to engage with trolls online. Actually, it was KSTP. What's the guy's name? Reporter? Tom Hauser.
Everybody loves Tom. Tom's the greatest.
Well, and actually, I learned this from him because he will not engage with people who don't, have their name or do an avatar or whatever. He'll just block people left and right. He will get into conversation. He will get, he justifies things and like tells people why you do something. And I've been part of a conversation that we had about political balance.
I'm a huge freedom of speech guy. Yeah. I think you lose it, and I'm going to get X, and people get mad at me because I think everyone should be able to be on X, say whatever you want. I really don't have a problem with it, but I think you should have to have a real name. There's some guy named Cat Turd. He came across my feed, and I'm like, oh, that was funny, so I kind of follow Cat Turd now. He can say and do anything because who in the world is this guy? I think if we had more accountability, because again, back to you can say crazy things that I don't like. I mentioned this a week ago, then I'm going to go to break. You can burn the American flag. I think that is right. I was in the service. You have the right to do that, in my opinion. But when you do it, guess what? You don't come to my 4th of July party, and I'm not having you in my house for Christmas. Because I know, you know what I'm saying? Then I have the ability to judge my friends.
Right.
So we need to get rid of this anonymousness. Boy, yes. I say that well. Get rid of that, and I think we'll have less of this crazy discourse because people will be held accountable. I got to go to break. I know you said you'd spend another half hour with me. I'd love you for all that. Let's do this after the break. Fair enough? Okay. Shannon Watson, Majority in the Middle on the Al Travis Show.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters brings you its most popular show of all time, Grease. You'll hear all your favorite hits from the Broadway musical and the movie.